Good day and welcome to Ramble On, Armidale Regional Council's podcast.
Perhaps the Armidale Mall stage might be known as the Prickle Chip going forward.
It cost a lazy $2 to $3 billion to build, so I have to say I don't have that sort of change. So, no.
Probably the best $4 million we've ever spent. Hello there and welcome to Ramble On, Armidale Regional Council's podcast. This is one of the ways that we try and communicate a little bit better with our community and get as much information as we can out to you in a way that you can listen to rather than have to read. As usual, I'm joined by my co-host, the Mayor of Armidale Regional Council, Councillor Sam Copeland. Welcome, Sam.
Thanks, James. Great to be back, and really, it's great because of some good news that you've helped deliver.
Is that so? Go on.
It is. It is. Look, many people have probably heard. So, in the search for a new general manager after you handed your resignation in October, I believe it was.
It was, yes.
We're still at the same place.
A long kiss goodnight.
It was. And you decided to stay for breakfast. And that was great because just for everyone out there, we went through the process, but at the end of the day, it was decided we'd see if James could extend his tenure, and you agreed, which...
You've been working on these sound effects. Beautiful. No, thank you. I really appreciate it, Sam. It's great. Yeah, a few little changes in my life that have sort of changed some priorities for me. So yeah, the timing was perfect, and I'm glad to be around for
happy to stay on
another 12 months. Yeah,
certainly a lot of relief from the staff and many members of the community. So. Thank you.
Well, that's very nice. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your vote of confidence. What have you been up to? What's what mayoral stuff have you been doing?
Working away in the background, giving selflessly, of course. But one of the big things that we've done a few of these just of late. So every second week we have the Ask Us Anything.
How are they going?
They're going really well. So yesterday in the rain, Kay Endres and I. We're at Courthouse Cafe, and we had a lot of people came through. So I don't know if it's the venue or what it is, but...
It's the mall.
It's the mall. It could be.
The rejuvenation of the mall, both East and Central.
Well, I'll take your word for it. It must be. And I've had, I think since we were last on the podcast, Dorothy Robinson and I did one as well, actually at the other end of that Central Mall. We're at Caffeines, and prior to that, I think it was Paul Gadders and me and Susan McMichael, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So it's been really good. In fact, the feedback that councillors are out doing it is a good thing as well. So, people can see me and my role, but also my fellow councillors, that we don't just turn up and make ourselves known at either public events or, with an election looming. So it's important to be in there. So, look, some of the things that we've had discussed, and certainly yesterday, one was swings and parks in the foothills. What might the options be there? We had some queries around a new development happening out along Cluny Road. We had some people came to talk to us about using the hall. Just those sorts of things, as well as, plenty of people coming along with good ideas. Here's something we've been thinking about that maybe, council could.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's always good, those people that make the time to come down and have a chat. I really thank them for it, particularly on a crummy day like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was, April the 2nd.
Yes, yeah. And that's really important, I think, too, because I don't think there's anybody, no reasonable person that gets on into a role like council and thinks that they've got the panacea to all the great ideas or all the knowledge. It's always about, there's always going to be stuff that we miss or we don't know. So it's nice to be able to have the thinking people out there that like to come along in a really constructive way and make their contribution. And I think that you've provided that avenue for them to do that is really important as well. And I hear nothing but really good feedback about those events also. So, yeah, well done.
Just one thing I'd like to add. I realise the timing or the day may not suit everyone, but I'm relatively easy to track down. So if anyone would like to meet up with me outside of those hours, just by all means, shoot me a message, call the council number, and we can arrange something.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I guess in the last few days we've had a federal election called. Well, I don't guess. I know we have.
We have.
I think. What are you seeing happening in that space?
Oh, I'm no Anthony Green, so I can't predict the outcome. I'm just really thinking about our region. It is an opportunity, I guess, for all the aspiring members of New England to come and have a chat about what they're going to do for our region.
Yeah, great.
And to date, based on that response, it's been nothing. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Although truth be told, after a phone call, Barnaby Joyce came in this morning and met with you and me, and we were able to talk to him about water plans, et cetera, et cetera. I'm still waiting to hear from the Greens, Labor, and some of those independents.
Yeah, well, I have no doubt. I mean, they would listen to this podcast each and every episode, so I'm sure after they hear this call out, they'll be in touch, which will be lovely.
I reckon they will. Look, we might even be a bit proactive and get in touch with them. So
we could do that. Yes,
we could do that. So let's do that. Which, for those listening, that actually is the plan. We will send out a brief on what we're looking at, big picture. So it's not the smaller stuff like doing up some change rooms for sports grounds or anything like that. It's some of the region building
stuff. Yeah,
building stuff, and just the really quick pace that things are going to happen, particularly with the renewable energy zone, and we've got to use that to the best of our advantage. That leverage.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are you seeing? I mean, if you sort of, what are you seeing as the 3 or 4 key objectives for us as a council, leading into this federal election that we'd like to get some election commitments for?
Well, the big ones, of course, is water, and that's going to take ages to get through. So that'd be a goodie. Reseal the airport runway. That'd be a great one as well. I'd like to see some funding around amenities too.
Yeah.
So, I know we bang on about this a bit. I'd like to see the rail trail funded or some pathway towards that. I'd like to see an avenue of trees.
That old chestnut.
That old chestnut trees here as well. So
yeah,
I'd also, and again, whilst we don't all have the good ideas, I do realise that the politicians are a little bit bound by the platform that their party's on, but still a bit of new thinking, a few promises would be good. But there's plenty of golf left in it. I think the election is just under a month away.
Yeah, 3rd of May. Yeah. I think the other big one for us, and it's a bit of an evergreen, but is the Guyra Preschool rebuild too. It'd be lovely to be able to jag $5 million from either side of politics to, really finally put that to bed and do that properly, either under our own guise as a council owner and operator, or in conjunction with a private operator or a private developer, and get that, because that is a complex that's well and truly overdue for some money spent on it. We're down to about 24, 25 kids a day now. We've got a waiting list of about 42 to 45. So it is something that we need. And I think, just to recap on that too, realistically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of funding commitments, we're not asking for the heavens. We're, realistically at the moment, as far as the water security package goes, we need about $4.5 million, or 2 of which council's already committed. We need another 2.5 through either a water election commitment or through the National Water Grid application that we've made, that simply allows us to do the business case and complete an EIS, and that would have an environmental impact statement. And that would happen over this term of council and allow us to really be able to launch into that project once we know what all the pitfalls are.
Actually, it's probably worth just with water talking about what the steps would be, because there is a lot of myth out there. There was the reputed $27 million that we were given, but that was an announcement. There was no money. There was no business case put forward.
No, that's right.
For that. So in terms of the business case or all the studies, what do we have to do first before we can go to Macquarie Street and Canberra to seek funding?
For the build?
Yeah, for the build.
Construction,
so,
yeah.
Let's say in 5 or 6 years' time, we're sitting there, we're looking at our shiny new full dams. What hurdles will we have had to jump over to get there?
Yeah, great. Well, that's a very good question. I mean, obviously the outcome probably 6 or 7 years down the track would be those really shiny new dams, a raised Malpas Dam wall, a reconstructed wall out at Oakey, and a pipeline from Oakey through to Armidale and beyond. So that's the end game. But as people would imagine, it's not just. There's a significant amount of work that's got to be done to ultimately get to that point where you can seek funding for the construction of a big project like that. And it obviously starts with a business case. The business case work that we need to do is part of trying to make that project stack up. We've got to be able to demonstrate to the feds and to the state that we've got a viable project, not only that it's needed, but that it can create a return on investment. And part of that return on investment is obviously be able to provide people enough potable drinking water and also allow for growth and what the res will bring in terms of the challenges that it will present around water as well. And then the next part of that, simultaneously as we do the business case, is to satisfy the state and the feds around our environmental impacts. And that environmental impact statement, or EIS, is probably the best part of it, at least a 2-year body of work that's got to be done. So the sooner that we can start on that, and now is the time to be able to doing that. It means that by the end of this term of council and in the lead up to the next federal election, we will have a business case that stacks up. We'll have an EIS that's been approved, and then we can really confidently know that we've got a project that's shovel ready, and we can be saying to the pollies, right, we've done all the groundwork, we've done all the legwork, now we just need the funds and we're ready to go because our project's shovel ready. So that's really what the next few years will do for us, and the EIS and the business case will be part of proving that out and establishing that shovel-ready project.
Okay, excellent. And yeah, that's so the work that has been done to date, is that all consistent with this, or is that hasn't been as much work done?
No, consistent with where we're headed, to the extent that we can, without the funding that we require, that the full $4.5 million. So I think everything that we've done, through public works, the work that we're doing through the integrated water cycle management strategy, again, this is all will form part of that particular document. But everything that we're doing is about moving us forward, not moving us backwards. So we're, I think we're in reasonably good shape, but it's just not something that you can rush. It's not like building a little dam, farm dam or whatever, where you might not, you can get a bulldozer in and just sort of make that stuff happen and not necessarily have to go through all the planning and regulatory functions that you need to. This is a pretty big deal, and we need to be able to satisfy everybody that we've done what we need to do. And then, of course, you mentioned the Malpas Dam. Yet there had been $27 million, I think, which again was probably an election promise or election commitment going a little while back. I can't recall what it was, but we've tried really hard across government, as I think our local member Brendan Moylan has done the same. He's asked questions of the government in question time, just around trying to find out if that $27 million was actually ever committed in the budget papers or whatever, and the response to that has been no. So it's again one of the myths we hear. Council's blowing the money, council's lost the money, council's done this, council's done that. The money was never budgeted for in the budget papers, and the water minister has confirmed that. So, but part of our water security package is, as it currently stands, the position of council is Oakey Dam, closely followed by the raising of Malpas Wall, because we know that we really need to get Oakey Dam done first in order to be able to have the water supply back up, in order to be able to get Malpas done in an efficient way. So we're not discarding Malpas at all. Malpas is still a really big part of the picture. It's just about doing it in a sensible way. So that's where we're headed. And the other big one just for us at the moment, and probably quite topical off the back of our last episode of Ramble On, was just around the airport. We were going to seek a budget commitment of about $10 million to essentially hot mix or re-asphalt the current runway and strengthen that. And look, that would mean if we got that money and we're successful, that mean we'd have to plan around that, because we'd probably have to have the airport shut for probably 4 or 5 weeks while we did that work. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it if we're successful.
Okay. Just back to water and lobbying, what sort of sticks do we have? How can we stand out from the crowd? Why would government listen to us?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I mean, one, we've got a very strong growth agenda that the council have adopted and supported, that talks about a significant population increase over the next, from where we currently are at 30,000 to about, or as many as 50,000 over the next sort of 25 years. But that's just not one of those hollow, empty targets. It's actually predicated around jobs, and what we know is that people move to a region for jobs. And so part of the program that council has around horticulture, intensive horticulture, the Gyra Costa style model of glass houses means that's the type of development that we're likely to attract here, and with that a substantial amount of workers. And we also know that in terms of for the water that they may require, as part of their work, and of course the numbers of the growing population around jobs and dwellings and all of those sorts of things, we just know that we're going to probably have to have a water supply that can cater for 45,000 plus people. What we currently know is that at our current levels, we have about 60% of the water we need to support our current population, let alone any growth. So we know that adding, and we've got all those figures and facts and figures and data that supports that. I think the next big thing that's really going to impact us is the renewable energy zone. Yep. That's probably the biggest lever. And there's been a decision made to anoint this as a renewable energy zone in New England. Armidale's going to be the centrepiece of all of that, logically, and the impost that not only that develop renewable energy developments will have, and their requirements for water will far exceed our current capability to supply, but with that population that comes to support those workforces, short-term or long-term, we're going to have a potential water crisis. So they're probably the levers and the catalyst for something that has to be done now or very, very soon in the next few years to avoid what will inevitably be a significant challenge and problem for us in probably 5 to 7 years' time, come 2030 essentially.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, it's good to have some cards in our back pocket, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, you've got to find those levers, I guess, so that's really important. What's happening? Council meeting we had a week ago. Any excitement out of that? Well,
it was confirmation of your reappointment.
Okay.
That's number one. Actually, it probably links back to the previous council meeting, but it has been announced now, and the grant for $140,000 came through a container cafe at Curtis Park. So
Stage 2.
Brilliant. Actually, it was really interesting. Probably it wouldn't have been as tight as this, but it seemed as though within hours of council, endorsing to go ahead with that extension of the Curtis Park playground, the chap was down there putting the fence up.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So it's fenced off. So that, and I guess weather dependent, that's due to all be squared away by about June-ish.
Yeah, 30 June we would hope to have that done. The weather, you mentioned the weather's a great segue just because of that wet weather that we've had. Our crews are struggling. Obviously we can't get out and mow, and then the grass will go crazy once we get a little bit of warmer weather. But obviously the impact it has on our road crews as well, being able to get out and do the only guys that'll be cheering are the grader drivers who are out on the gravel roads around. They'd be loving the natural water coming in and the amount of fill that they're able to get. But the rest of the teams on the sealed network would be really struggling at the moment to keep that work going just because of the wetness. But I think so we may get slowed down a little bit at Curtis Park because of the weather. But I think one of the things that we were really keen to do, and it probably was hours only after the decision had been made by council, we know that there's a time frame that we want to work to. We really wanted to try and deliver that. So as soon as we knew that council was on board, we probably, I'd say the team had the contractors sort of ready to go in the background, subject to asking them to stand down if it was a negative outcome. But it wasn't, so away we go. And I know they're really keen to deliver that project by the end of June, which will be great.
Yep. And look, the other thing, and this, weather links to it, although the forecast is good, we've got the Autumn Festival.
Autumn Festival, that's going to be
that'd
great.
Be the shot.
Looking forward to that,
Heaps of floats. We've got, acrobatics in the sky.
Yeah.
There's the Campus to City Canter. I know you're a keen runner.
Was.
I'll be the guy at the end with eating the pancakes at breakfast with the band.
Are you? So, what's your role in all of this? Do you get to are you going to have the chains, the robe, the big mayoral baton,
the mace
out the front, twirling it around? Do you get to do that?
Not even in my wildest dreams. I'll be the bloke that looks like me in a jumper and a pair of jeans.
Right.
But what I do get is to ride in a cool vintage car. So we've got the Antique Car Club providing the cars for the councillors to sit in.
Great.
Yeah. So
any of your colleagues?
I believe so. I hope so. Certainly hope so. So it was cancelled last year. The year before, it was fantastic. That's when my involvement with the Autumn Festival prior to that was just as a spectator.
Yeah.
And you don't really get a sense as to how many people are lining the streets. It's really good. It's different to Big Chill, but it's a great event for everyone. I think it probably is something that's really for the locals.
Yeah.
We welcome everyone, of course, but people I know quite a few people from Brisbane and Sydney that are coming up for the Big Chill. They're not going to make that trip for the Autumn Festival, but the locals get out, and it's a fantastic one.
Yeah, I know Joe Harrison, our leader in our sort of comms team and engagement team, has sort of taken the lead on this Autumn Festival. He's probably ruining that decision, but has done a sensational job and pulled the team together to do a great job. A couple of our staff internally, Casey and Caitlin, were really keen to see if there was a contingent of staff that wanted to be involved, either as a float or walking part of the parade, or just to be part of the volunteer team. I said,
which brings me to your role.
Well, I put my hand up and said that I would volunteer. I'd get out there and do whatever they needed me to do, as long as it doesn't involve dancing. And that kind of stuff in a parade, I'm happy to do anything. But dancing
this is going to be an awkward conversation now, isn't it?
Dancing is not my forte. Certainly not at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No. It was a little bit later in the day. It might work, but I'm really looking forward to it, because the first year I was the first year back, the one that you mentioned, I was unfortunately away, and then last year we got rained out. And so this is sort of third year back, but it looks like it's going to be bigger and better. And Joe and the team have just done a sensational job. So well done to all of them.
Yeah. It's a great lineup they've got together.
Yeah, it looks like
looking forward to it.
Mr. Mayor, that probably brings us to the end. I can't think of too much. I think we'd just be padding this out.
We would. Let's.
If we didn't do it.
Let's call it.
Great to see you again. Great to chat. Enjoy your next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
I know you will do that. And to our loyal listeners, thanks very much. Until next time.
Thanks both. Bye.